Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Well, today it is a beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 30 degrees Celsius. I've heard that, talking to my kids, they had a cold front that came through. I don't know if it got down quite to freezing, but we don't have that here, and I'm so happy to be here, and my orchids are so happy to be here, and it's a great day. But today, what I wanted to do is a division of an orchid, a cattleya that is completely overgrown. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of my plants blooming. I'll show you more flowers later, not quite today. But today what I want to do is take a really overgrown, it's not huge, but for the size of pot that is, these are the kind of pots that I use. And for the pot that it's in, it's just way overgrown. The roots are just all outside of the pot. The plant itself is kind of halfway in, halfway out. I bought this, by the way, is RTH Nell Hammer Golden Lady. And I got this plant many years ago from RF Orchids in Homestead, Florida. And what I do when I get orchids from RF, I keep it in the original potting mix. The orchids do well, again, one of two places, I've told you over and over again, Sundance Orchids and Bromeliads in Fort Myers and RF Orchids. These are the two places where I can leave these things in the pot and they just pot and they'll continue to grow. And that's what this thing has done. And this has just become very overgrown for the pot that it's in. This is, I think, this is the original pot. And the roots are, they're overgrown. And when you look at this thing, I really can't tell, well, if the roots are living or dead. Some of them you can, so the ones that have green tips are definitely alive. This thing is putting out a lot of new pseudobulbs, a lot of new roots, and it's really a good time to divide. I don't know what I'm going to do with the divisions on this plant. I'm going to get, from looking at this before I take it out and really dissect it, take a careful look at it, it looks like there's going to be 3 plants in here, and that's what I'll probably get. I don't really care for Nell Hammer that much. The flower's a little small for me. It does have flaring, but it's not quite the flaring that I like. There are some versions of Nell Hammer that I really like. This is not one of them, but it's the one that I have, so that's how luck has it. But this is, it's a really vigorous plant. It blooms very consistently for me. And I'll probably make, I can't tell until after we do something, but I'll probably make 3 divisions of this, and I'll just hold on to one of them. So the other ones go to either some orchid colleagues at my local orchid society, or just to the orchid society overall, so they can put it on the raffle table. And anyway, so what I want to do is divide this. It's getting heavy. Before I do that, though, in order for me to see what's going on, in order for me to get out of the pot easier, in order for me to get the potting medium off of the roots, I need to put this in water, in a bucket of water. So I've got my Lowe's bucket right here, and I am just gonna put this down in here, and I'm gonna have to add some more water to it, but it's gonna have to wait anyway. That's pretty good anyway right now. So this is up to the level so that the pot is going to be completely submerged. You can do this for a short amount of time, and it's fine, and the orchid won't be harmed. Again, you don't let it sit like this for too long, but for a little while it's fine. What's going to happen after they're soaking in water, and usually what I do is I try to do this for about a half hour, but all the roots that are viable, that are still living, will turn green. You'll be able to see them. They'll pull in the water, and the normally translucent but not transparent portions of the root will become clear. As they soak up water, it'll become clear. You'll be able to see the pith inside, and the pith is green and photosynthetic. So, we'll do this, and I'll show you what all this looks like up close after this has been done soaking. In the meantime, I want to flame my instrument and then let it cool off. So I'll be using this to cut apart this division and cut off any of the dead roots. And I flame the instrument. This is more for to minimize the transfer of viruses than it is for other pathogens, but it's just a good thing to do. So I got this thing. These are now really hot. I'll let this cool off on the table, and I won't need, what I typically do is I flame it once per orchid. So this is the only orchid I'll be cutting up with that sterile instrument. And I won't need to reflame it unless I get in there and there's something dirty, nasty that's going on in there. So once again, I'm going to let this thing sit for about a half hour, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish up. In the meantime, I'm so excited because I get to do one of my favorite things, and that is I'm going to be making crosses on some of my orchids that are in my collection. I've got some new if you've seen my videos, I've got some new orchids that I'm really excited to have that are flowering. I've got a lot of plants that I'm going to show you in future videos that are flowering. I've got I got at least 2 first blooms. I got a ton of repeat bloomers, and I'll be bringing those videos to you over time. But for right now, I'm going to let this thing sit for another 25 minutes, and then when I come back, we'll pull it out. We'll try to get it out of the pot, and then we'll chop it up and repot it. The video today is going to be chopped up a little bit. In addition to my orchid being chopped up, the video is going to be chopped up because I usually take my time when I do this. So I'm very careful to separate everything carefully, to pull off all the dead roots, get most of the old medium off, and I look and see exactly where in the orchid is a natural place to make a cut or a division. So this is going to take a little while. I'm going to speed up some parts. I'm going to eliminate some parts, and but we'll see what it looks like. And I don't know how this is going to come out. I repotted a Star Ruby Xanadu yesterday, and that I pulled it out of the pot, and there were no roots in the medium. The medium had completely decomposed. I didn't have it in the type of mix that I like to use. It was another mix. It was a lot of bark, and it was completely gone. Had a lot of new pseudobulbs coming out, so it was the perfect time to repot. But I pulled it. I pulled it out, and it just came right out because there were no living roots in the medium. They were on the top, but in the medium it was decomposed. It was rotten. I don't know what we're going to find here. We may find the same thing, but let's discover together as we go. All right, so probably now 20 minutes. I'll come back. We'll pull this thing out and struggle through it together. Okay, and we are back. And even though it's only been a short amount of time, the wind has picked up quite a bit. It shouldn't influence anything today, but it's just real noticeable, at least to me. So what I want to do first is take a look at this plant. We're going to have to let all of the water drip off, and then we'll kind of take a look and see what's going on. This is in the pot it's just a wire hanger in it, and we'll see how this falls apart here. Oh, great. All right, so what I said great is because there's a hanger that is just buried in one of the part of the plant. And anyway, this is this is just how things go here. So I'm gonna try to, oh, that was surprisingly easy. All right, so what I did is I pulled it down. What you have, again, what I'm trying not to do is damage any of the roots. And what you'll find is after things are soaked, this is the hanger here, but after things get soaked, the roots become a little bit more pliable. They're a little more turgid, but a lot of times these roots will stick to whatever they're growing on. So they'll, and because, I guess, because they become so filled with water, they kind of loosen themselves from whatever they're attached to. So I'm kind of looking around here and seeing, and I don't see any more evidence of, there, right there, that root's stuck. And I just have to very gently try to pry it. All right, and that came off, but I don't see any other roots. That one's loose, that one's loose. This here's, no. All right, looks like it's given itself up pretty easily. So the next part is just kind of pulling and seeing what the best way is to get this pot off of here. And the pot, I mean, okay, so that worked. And this is in pretty good shape. So there are some dead roots. So if you look at this pot, there's some nice green roots, some white roots, and then there's some brown roots. And when I take a look at the brown roots, many of the brown roots are well, they're dead. But it's a good solid root system. But as I'm prying this thing apart a little bit, the roots tend to kind of fall apart on their own. And when you look at this, so again, I've done this in the past where the roots have just kind of, there's been nothing there, they're rotten. And this is not the case with this. And I'm gonna make a little bit of a mess here. Normally I have a kind of a trash container, but many of these roots don't look bad. So I might, yeah, see, these are all nice roots. All right, I was expecting, to be honest, I was expecting more of a mess because the top of the plant is just so crowded. And there are, you know, there are dead roots. It doesn't look perfect. And this is gonna be getting a little bit heavy, but this is gonna be kind of hard to take apart. So what I'm gonna do is try to tease it apart as best as I can with my fingers and trying to pull off as many of the roots as I can. And this again is going to take a little while. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to try to do is, since I forgot my my trash container, and since I now see what the roots look like, I am going to take a little bit of a break, reposition the camera so that you can see a little bit more about what's going on here. And then hopefully we'll be able to tear this apart a little bit. And I gotta be careful as I'm looking at this, I gotta be careful not to knock anything off, which it doesn't look like I've done yet. But let me reposition the camera so you can see a little bit closer what I'm doing, and finish this up. And again, I'll tell you when I'll do this, but I may take a little bit of a break and or fast forward through it and not say anything. So let me reposition and get adjusted, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we are back. So this kind of gives you an idea of what we're dealing with, and this is, for me, this is just a slow process. So what I'm going to do is try to pry as much of the old medium out, which still looks, again, this is why I go to RF. The medium itself still looks pretty good. There's not too much degradation. I'm seeing a small amount of it's good bark, some charcoal, some leca that's in here. But I'm just going to be quiet and probably fast forward through some of this, and you can just watch as best as you can as I try to tear this thing apart. Okay, so now I am at the point, I've taken it apart. What I'm doing over here is I'm washing it in water. If you get the more of the, I don't know if you can see it, I don't know if it's off the screen, but the more of the medium that you get off, the more that you can see what's going on. And what I'm finding is that right in here somewhere, it looks like there's a nice break point. And so what I'm going to do is try to cut it here. And once you start pulling these things apart, things get a little bit easier. So I'm going to cut it, where did I see it? Right here, and see if this pulls apart. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it's a little challenging. But it looks like it was a good break point, but then there's some other things that are kind of holding it up. So the roots they're kind of tangled a little bit. And what I see I might have done is unintentionally knocked off part of a new growth, but this is kind of what happens when you do this. So I'm gonna put it in water, see if that helps break it apart. This is really tangled. Okay, so that's one. And the root system is pretty extensive on this. I may probably cut off a lot of these old roots and keep the leading roots. What happens, even though they're viable and they're alive, because they've been kind of stressed a little bit, these guys just tend to rot and it makes a mess. So I may just get rid of that. Now what I have left here is there are it looks like 3 really good leads. 1, 2, 3. And I don't think I want 4 plants out of here. I may just want to pull the biggest lead off, which is right here, that I think might be easy to come off. And then there's the central part right here that I'll keep intact. But I've got to tease this apart a little bit so that I can try to figure out where everything is. It looks like this is underneath here like that. And then see, again, you have to see where everything is connected in order to tear things apart properly. I hope you can see it. But you can see here where there are 2 pieces that looks like they're connected for now, but you can see where these pieces are going to fall apart. And I can try to carefully tear them. And I just did something bad. I actually tore it and left a really rough edge. And I'm going to have to trim that and make it a little better. All right, here we go, back in the water. I think the water, it kind of removes stuff, but then it also lubricates it a little bit more so that it comes apart. And this should be actually, I should be able to see where it's connected, but the problem is you have these roots, the roots are tangled. They're intertangled and intermixed. So even though you've got water and I'm trying to take these things apart, you still have some tangling that's going on, and I can't see what's going on in the middle of this. I'm sorry guys, this just takes me a long time to do typically. So now it's getting pretty close, and it's just a question of trying to untangle the roots without cutting them. But I'm damaging these roots. You know, you damage the roots on orchids, especially during this time of the year when these roots are growing. The new roots are growing so rapidly, and what happens is the new roots are going to grow back. So here we go. That's a small one right there, but it's still it's still pretty nice. I could divide this piece in half, but I'm not going to. What you have here is all this new green roots up here. There's old roots here that don't look bad, but experience tells me that even though these roots don't look bad, and I've done this in the past, it's like, wow, these look great. I'm going to plant these. I think I'm going to cut a lot of them off. Especially all these. There's some in here that are kind of brown, but they're not dead. They're okay. But if you have this extensive root system on there and it doesn't look great, you're going to lose it. I'm not going to take all of it off because some of it does look good, but the most brown stuff I am going to try to get rid of. A lot of this looks really pretty good. So this is, I think this is fine for this first piece right here. I took a lot of the roots off. There's still some that can be pulled off that I've damaged a little bit, and that's not good. But I don't want to destroy them too much. I don't want to overdo it. Unless, I mean, if the roots were all dead, I'd pull them off, but they're not. So this one is, I think, ready. This one, I did some damage on, there's a nice young root right there that isn't so nice anymore. So I did some damage on some of the roots there. These, all this stuff. Oh, and I should also say, I've seen videos where, they put, newspaper down or a sterile tray or something like that. And as you can tell, that's not me. And the plants that I have, I think, are going to do okay without being super sensitive to kind of having a sterile workspace. Yeah, I guess it might be better to have that, but come on. That's something I'm just not going to do. I'm sorry, I might be taking this thing off the screen. And if I'm taking stuff off the screen, I'm just going to cut it off, and then we'll come back later and look at it. So there aren't that many roots left on this. And if there aren't a whole lot of roots, what happens, I think, is the roots, when there's like a ton of roots and they're damaged, then they'll just rot together. But there aren't that many of them here. Just, this is a kind of a smaller division. And you can go completely nuts with cleaning these things up, get rid of all the, all of this sheath material and all of the old roots. Anytime there's a little damaged root, pull it off. I'm just not, maybe I'm not quite as careful as I need. I think as long as you do a general sense of things, there might be some dead or damaged roots in there, but that's good enough, I think, with that. This last, I got to be careful. These are the greenest roots of all of these pieces. This last piece right here has, I think, the most. Wow, these are nice. I mean, I'm trying to pull it off, but a lot of these roots are really nice. So I'm going to be a little selective and pull off. I don't know if you can tell. I'm pulling off the really brown roots. Here's a big root I'm going to pull off. It's a small piece, a small division for the amount of roots that it has. So I'm just kind of trying to pull off. Again, maybe taking this out of your view. I'm sorry. So I pulled off, this. And there's other, okay, so here's another. I do the best I can while being conscientious of the time. Here's a bad root. It's not a bad root, it's just kind of another brown root that's in the middle of all this. And what I'm trying to save are these greener roots here. Okay. So I think that's it. And that's what I want to do. What I'm going to do, the next step, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to spray these 3 pieces off with a hose. and I'm going to clean the table. I'm not anal about the table too much as far as keeping it clean, but I think it's fine to kind of clean off the table so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to clean off this table. I am going to spray off, just with the garden hose and regular water, I'm going to spray off these 3 divisions that I've made, and I'm going to get my my medium together in my pots and everything else. So we'll meet back here. Shouldn't take but I think 10 minutes, and we'll meet right back here, and I'll show you what it's like then to pot up these 3 divisions. Okay, and we're back. So let's try to finish this up, and yeah, see how it goes. So what I have is I've got 2 clay pots that I want to use that are cleaned up a little bit. People are kind of, I guess they should be a little bit concerned and only use, they really carefully clean up their clay pots. I'm not as I guess as careful as I need to be. So I've got I've got 2 clay pots and 1 plastic pot that I'm going to use, and we'll do a little experiment and see how it goes. The main thing about when you pot these guys up is trying to stabilize them in the pot as best as you can. So I either use twist ties and tie the orchids to their hangers, or I have these homemade pot clips that I use and stick in the pot and kind of hold it down. It really is a good idea. I'll put them kind of up and out of the way, and so that we'll see what kind of growth comes out of these guys. And like I said, I'll be watching these plants over the next few months, and just kind of keep a careful eye on them, watch what's going on, and try to keep one and offload the other 2. And as you might imagine, I am a little selfish with plants, so I do try to keep the best one for myself. Either this one or this one is the smallest one, and I'm thinking probably this one here is the smallest one, so it might be more appropriate to go in this pot. I'm also looking at this. Normally what I do with all of my pots is I put lava stone in the bottom of the pot, but there's not a whole lot of room. These are pretty large divisions, so there's not a whole lot of room for lava stone to go in the bottom of this pot. The other thing that I want to do, this is the old hanger right here, and I am going to just attach the old hanger, because when the new plant goes in there, we will tie it to the actual hanger to try to stabilize it a little bit. There are pot clips that you can use, and there's all types of different clamping systems that you can use, from wire to bamboo chopsticks to really anything you want. With these plastic pots, you can melt through the side of the pot and kind of bend them down in order to get really good stability of the plants that you put in there. But this is kind of what I do, and then what happens is the roots will eventually, over time, they'll anchor themselves. There's a lot of roots that are going down in here. You're supposed to, this is the growing point of the plant right here on this side. So we're going to pull this plant over to the side, so that the growing point of this plant is either in the middle or as far to the middle as we can get it. And then what I'm going to do, the first thing to do, is actually just to take twist ties and tie this plant down to anchor it in place, really, before I even add the next layer. So I got lava stone in the bottom, and I'm going to add leca, giant leca, on the top of that. But before I do that, let me get twist ties and tie everything down in place before I then start adding things. So here we go. All right, so the twist ties that I use, these are just various size twist ties that I just cut and use as I like, and I just kind of put it in the pot to see what the best position is. It's going to be down a little bit, but I'm going to tie up this pseudobulb to this wire, and then the top of this pseudobulb I'm going to tie up to the other wire. And if I wanted to, I could put some additional support in here. Let's see what's best. I think that's probably best. The additional support is some metal tie dowels or pot clips, so you can clip them to the side of the pot and position them in just the right place so that you'll get very little movement. The final step here, and it actually isn't the final step, but the next step here is the giant leca. And this is the giant leca that I use. It's actually a combination of different size leca, because what I do, I'm cheap, and so what I'll do is reuse my leca. I have access to a laboratory autoclave, so when I have my leca, because I am an economical gardener, I will autoclave it and reuse it. If you don't do that, especially if you have plants that are dying in leca and you reuse it, you're kind of asking for trouble. And in my leca comes the lava stone gets in there, which is okay. I like using leca because it is it drains really nicely. I think when the roots crawl over it, they're less likely, if the orchid isn't in there just right, they're less likely to get damaged on the top. These are balls of clay, and the tops are pretty smooth, so it's less likely to get damaged. But this is the first plant right here. It looks okay. The final steps that I'm not going to show you what I'm doing, but I do put a time release fertilizer on the top, and I put a general all-purpose fungicide in there too. And then I water it pretty heavily, and then I'll hang it where it goes. So that's the first division. I don't know how long it's going to take for this guy to grow out or bloom or anything like that. And again, this is the smallest one. Maybe the next ones are larger and I'll get faster blooms out of it. This is a really vigorous plant, so I'm hoping I'll get fast blooms out of it for this next year. Okay, these are a little bit bigger pots. And what I do is, again, I put the lava stone on the bottom, and then I will put, this is a kind of a reasonably sized plant, then I'll put this in here like this. Okay, and you get it, again, one of the most important things for orchids is when you repot, well, there's a lot of important things, but it's getting them at just the right, the right level. So this is, I think, right here at the right level. This is just playing in the pot. I could put and I am going to put a hanger on here, and I may tie this pseudobulb up to the hanger right here. But the main thing that I want to do here is get the leca in here and stabilize it as best as I can. Again, I'm going to stabilize this probably with a pot clip. as best as I can. The other thing that I do here, and I do it with my seedlings, is when I add the medium, I will tap everything down, and it does help to stabilize it a little bit more. So even just doing this, you can tell it's a little bit more stable than it was before, but it still does move. And when I tamp this down, I'm pretty cautious about holding on to the plant while I'm tamping it down, and you want all the leca to go down in the air spaces, and I push it down a little bit, but not too much, because you don't want to damage the roots. The pot clip, this is the pot clip that I want to use. This is really simple to use, and it just helps to stabilize things a little bit in here. And I gotta be, again, I pick my placement of this pretty carefully as well, because I don't want to damage the plant, and I want to get the best stability that I can. So I put it right here, it just snugs down, and now I could pull up on the plant and not have it move, but this is in here really good now. I don't know if you can tell, it's not moving very much at all. Just maybe a little bit more, just to make sure that I have everything in here good. But I think this one is now also done. The last one that we move on to is, I think, our largest one. It has a really nice new pseudobulb coming out there. Some potential additional growth. I think there's also probably another one. There's an eye. There's an eye, I think, right here. I might have knocked it off. No, it's there. It's there. So this is a nice, probably the largest division that we have here. And I'm going to put it in this pot. I'll start off like I did with the other pot. And I'm sorry, this is going on a little bit, but you wanted to see, I think some of the subscribers wanted to see this, and I guess as repetitive as it seems like it is to me, if you want to see it, I'm happy to try to show it to you, as long as I don't look too bad. So this is kind of funny, because this is growing. I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of growing down like this, and I don't like that. There are some, all right, we might have to do some additional trimming. If I could find my, oh my gosh, okay. Maybe we won't. Yeah, we are going to. So this was kind of cut it. This was kind of hanging down at the bottom, and it was making it not level. Normally I like to trim this stuff off. I don't know what happened to my trimmers, but it just kind of fell off anyway. And now it's more of a, it stands a little bit nicer when you do this. Okay, so this then is going to go in here. There is a lot of roots on this one, so I'm going to push. I've got leca in the bottom of the pot, and I'm pushing it up on the side because there really is so much of it. The new growth is, the new growth is coming out on this side, so I'm going to push the orchid towards me so that the new growth is more in the middle of the pot, and then I'm going to try to fill it up with the giant leca here. Part of the issue here, I normally do this for me, but because I'm showing you, it's a little awkward and everything's kind of away from me, but I'm doing the best I can. But sometimes it is just a little awkward regardless. It's just how sometimes this stuff is. I'll get back to that in a minute. So there's going to be just a hair more that I want to put on the back of this in order to stabilize it a little bit more. You know, the thing about these are clay balls, and balls roll. So as they end up on the table, there are some holes in the table, but these things just, they roll off and they fall. And I do the best I can. And so what I'll do is they're on the ground, so I'll pick them up and use them. I'll re-sterilize those and use them. This one, tell you, this is the one I think that is the most awkward. I mean, it sits in the pot kind of nice, but it's still, because remember when there was that piece, it looked like it was down and then growing up, so there's still a little bit of that history that you can see in here. But we'll kind of hold the plant, tap it down, make sure everything goes around it, and then I will find a place. I think I'm gonna try to go right here. No, I'm not. Got to find a place to use this clip. And the problem with this is, looks like it's there's not a good place for it, and it's up a little high. So I got to bend my clip a little bit. Okay, so I got my clip down here. It comes out there. It's holding it really tightly in place. And I'll just kind of move everything else. Add a few more of these pieces of leca, and then I think we're good. So I'm not going to show you the last step. So the last step just involves, the last few steps just involves adding the time-release fertilizer on top, adding the general granular fungicide that I also will spread on top, and then where's my tag? So I have one tag. I'm losing everything today. I have one tag that that came from these plants, and then I will add, I'm gonna have to make a couple more tags. The other thing that I'm gonna do, I'll probably hang one of these, and so I'll hang two of these, but this is funny. But the other thing that I'll do is I'll put this is a good one. I'll put these are my hanger clips that I make, and so I'll put the hanger clips on here also. And if it's convenient, I may tie, and it's not convenient, so I won't do it. So I'll put these clips on there. If it was convenient, I might tie some of these, so I don't know if you can even see it. I might tie a pseudobulb to the hanger right here. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. So we now have 3 Nell Hammer plants, from starting with one. Made a little bit of a mess. I think we're going to have 3 nice plants coming from this, and I hope they do okay. This plant has been bothering me. It's been calling for repotting for a while, and I think we're done, and we'll just kind of watch it. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it wasn't too long for you. If you liked the video and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and happy propagating.